Good afternoon, and welcome to our December Wayne Risa Curriculum Leaders Update meeting. We're glad to see you today. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mary Treece. We'd like to welcome you to our December Wayne Risa Curriculum Leaders Update meeting. I'll run through the agenda real quick, and I don't know if Beth might be in the room. She might want to say a few words. We're going to start with Mike Laffis, who's here. We'll give some legislative updates, and Cindy's here to give state assessment updates. We have updates from literacy, math, our multilingual department, instructional technology, special education and early intervention services, and safe and healthy schools. And I hope I didn't forget anybody. We have a lot of information to share with you today, and as always, you will have access to the slides to peruse, share with your leadership teams, go back and revisit the links, and everything will be archived on our curriculum leaders site so that you can revisit things later on. So that's the welcome. Beth, are you here? Do you want to say anything?
I am. Hi. Good morning. Or it's afternoon now. Oh my gosh, it's been flying by. Um, Thank you all for joining. Thanks for being here. And I know what a busy time of year it is. So we'll be focused in our updates today. And I'll layer in some things as we go. But great to see you all. And I'll echo this. Um, Later, although candidly, I cannot stay to the very end of the meeting because I have to move to a different meeting. So if I don't get to, I just want to wish everyone a really wonderful and safe holiday. I hope each of you takes a ton of time for whatever brings you joy, fills you up, helps you rest. Each of you deserves that more than almost anyone I know in the world.
Mhm.
Our work is deep and complex and takes a level of commitment. I know that goes beyond what we're compensated for. It uh, it takes it takes significant leadership and dedication to truly serve and meet student and educators' needs, and each of you stands in that space. And we know you don't choose to do that for the money or the recognition. And so I hope this break will be restful, and will help you be your cup be filled before we come back for the new year. All right, with that, I think I'm tossing it to Mike Latvis. Uh, Mike
Um,
has 500 slides of updates. I kid. Sorry, Mike, I'm stealing your jokes. Um, Mary, what do you want to say?
I just wanted to say the slide right before Mike, we have the updates are linked there. I will also send those out through email, but those are the updates for December from Wayne Risa from all aspects of our organization. And I believe the slides are in the chat. It's all you, Mike.
Thanks, Mary. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Yes, Beth stole my thunder. I actually made the joke to our board this morning that I had 85 slides to run through. So they have significantly increased since then, according to Beth. And they probably could reach 500 slides, but I've actually just I've copied and pasted a few slides in here that really just kind of follow along with what we've been continuing to share with districts over the last couple of months since the budget came out, which is all the major boilerplate changes. The only one that I didn't include in there, just because been no guidance or indication that the department is covering thus far, is or at least as of yet, is 31A, the at-risk parental reporting that is out there. My continued indication that I get from the department is they're going to be looking at this as something that they'll take a look at in the new year and probably have something out on it in late winter, early spring. So more on that to come. Before I get into, I mean, there really isn't any updates in these, and so maybe I'll just get rid of these, and I'm not going to have you guys run through the slides. Because you can take, I know they've already been pasted in there, and I'm not going to go slide by slide. Really, the only other there's two updates in here. The first on 164K, the department released what I would call guidance, if you want to call it that, that really didn't clear up much of anything in terms of the questions that we had, certainly surrounding the student surveys that need to be posted online and announced to families. that their kids are going to be surveyed, as well as some of the other pieces in there. And I know Beth and her team probably has a better update than I do on the literacy curriculum piece in 164K. But I did in the slides to come, I did link the memo that MDE shared. There hasn't been much in terms of changes to what we've been saying as it relates to either the surveys. I mean, I've been sharing with the superintendents that they should post every single survey on their website. And I know that's a pain in the butt. Part of me wants to, at the end of the year, collect all of these surveys, send them to the legislature, and ask them what the point of this was and how much time was wasted and how many resources were wasted for doing this, all for what. And certainly in the school meals form that we obviously, we continue to know that the U.S. Department of Education, or the U.S. Department of Agriculture, excuse me, does not allow districts to require that parents to fill out that form. So pretty much everything in here is status quo. 21F, the elimination of virtual days. I have a little bit of update there, so I lied a little bit. The What I shared previously was there's a state representative, Regina Weiss, who is interested in introducing a bill to reinstate the virtual days. We we've continuing to She's been continuing to talk with the department and other legislators about that. I did find out that the education chair in the Senate is actually not supportive of adding these virtual days back in. So we've hit a little bit of a speed bump on that, and we're working on that. And that was always going to be a couple of month timeline out, but just quick update on that. 27L, I found out that went out in state aid payments today. So districts have that money now. And finally, in 31AA, what I will say is that the attorneys in the school safety and mental health lawsuit had oral arguments last week in state court of claims and await a final decision from Judge Patel, which could come as soon as today. But we're expecting it by the end of the day on Friday, the 19th. The attorneys will have oral arguments in federal court tomorrow on the 18th, and the federal court has determined that they will also make a decision on that case in front of them by the 19th as well. So over the next, should be an exciting couple of days coming up. We'll see what comes of it. That's pretty much it for the boilerplate piece. The Oh, go ahead, Beth.
Sorry. Is it okay with you if I just weigh in quickly on PA
Yeah.
146 while we're sort of in that relative topic? So just an update for everyone because it is related to that 164K requirement. But we did get an update from the State Department that the PA 146 list. So the State Department is required by the legislature to provide one list that has the approved curricula, and then one list that has the approved screeners for dyslexia. They informed us that the PA 146 list will be inclusive of all of the 35M approved curricula, but will go beyond that. And that list, they have said, should be out no later than January 2nd. There'll be two separate memos. One's for the approved curricula list, one's for the approved dyslexia screeners. Once we see that list of approved curricula, we'll take a step back and reflect at what it communicates and how that relates to the requirement in 164K in terms of a communication to families if you're not using a science of reading aligned curriculum. And at that point, we'll work with districts where there might be a tension to think about how we're going to respond to that. So that's really my update there. And certainly if you have any questions, pop them in the chat or reach out. Sorry for the interruption, Mike, but I just thought it wouldn't be relevant later in terms of what we have to share. So thank you.
I appreciate you doing it. Thanks, Beth. So the global piece of what's going on, you guys probably read in the news or heard in the news the last couple of days, is kind of the bomb that Speaker Hall set off in Lansing last week, which was essentially clawing back work projects. Just to keep it short, work projects are are essentially grants that the state budget office can determine our multiple years. Essentially, they can extend them for another year without the legislature having to go back into a budget bill and do. It's been common practice for a very long time. And what happened was the state budget director sends over the yearly list in November, and the House Appropriations Committee followed the process of this very little known or very little used stipulation in the Office of Management and Budget Act that allowed the Appropriations Committee to essentially refuse the budget director's request for work projects, meaning that there's about $645 million that is going to be clawed back to both the state aid fund and the general fund. The school aid fund primarily walked away from this unscathed. There's a couple of projects in there. I think there's a total of four. The largest one is $12.5 million for MUI. So it's Michigan Employment. Beth, help me.
Michigan Educator
Edu-
Workforce Initiative.
Thank you. I have been saying it correctly the last couple of days, but I just
It's a lot of
completely blanked
acronyms.
there. Um, but part of that $12.5 million, that so MUI has been helping and providing assistance and services in conjunction with Talent Together and the work that they've been doing across the state. So this is a kind of a speed bump for them and the work that Talent Together is doing. But I know that some of that money has already been spent. So really, I know they're looking at trying to figure out how to recover that or get it into next year's budget. But the long and short of this story is that this has eroded what very little trust was there between both the Senate leadership, which is Democrat controlled, and House leadership, which is Republican controlled. There's outside of education, there are a number of very worthwhile programs and grants that were ended because of this. So think of things like communities purchasing fire trucks or ambulances or fixing bridges where fire trucks and ambulances are too heavy and cannot cross into neighborhoods, wigs for kids with cancer, that sort of thing, those sort of programs. So this has really set off it pretty much it has put an end pretty much to any work that was going to get done at the end of December. Any productive work, for example, like the economic development package that they were considering. There is a list of bills that the House believes that both chambers are going to pass either today or tomorrow. I know the Senate has technically left, but opened the door to come back tomorrow. Again, from that list, K-12 policy is relatively unscathed here. There's a package of bills dealing with the work keys assessment that is technically on that list to be passed in both chambers. It would make the workies assessment optional for families to opt out of, and we'll have to see if that actually gets a vote and moves. Certainly, once things kind of calm down, I do expect that bill to eventually pass. Moving forward, I don't know yet what this actually means. If we're going to get a 2-week break here or 3-week break here before they come back into session, 3 or 4 weeks. And we'll have to see if tempers have eased, if they can kind of come together again in some sort of bipartisan fashion. I mean, it wasn't very bipartisan before this, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see where this ends up. What we do know is coming, though, is the governor's State of the State address, which I believe is going to be January 28th. They haven't fully scheduled that yet. And then the governor's executive budget recommendation. The what I'm hearing from a budget perspective is that the governor is not going to be focused on any big new programs in her budget. She is going to be focused on, we only have about $500 million, give or take, available in this upcoming budget. Not all of it is not. I think I don't have a good handle on what percentage is which, but I know not all of it is ongoing, and there's a decent amount of one-time funds available in the school aid fund. The governor's team said that they agree when I urged them to focus on the foundation allowance and on providing a small increase to the weights with our ongoing funding. The governor is going to be focused on literacy, which I'll get to briefly in a second. In terms of funding programs, continue to fund programs that we know work, or plus up programs that we know work, like letters and others, as well as probably replenishing the pre-K for all reserve fund. If you're all aware, because the work that Beth's team has done and others have done throughout the county on enrolling kids in pre-K for all, they had to dip into that reserve fund to the tune of about $110 million, meaning that there's about $90 million left. And so, in order to continue at that rate for next year, they're going to have to provide additional funding either into there or just into the general pre-K for all funding program. So, as far as the governor's budget, the executive budget recommendation, that's what I'm told to expect to see. Surely there will be other things included in there, but those are kind of the major pieces. As I'm sure that someone, maybe Beth or others, will speak to, the governor hosted a literacy summit on Monday that I know Beth, myself, and Dr. Colbert attended from Wayne Risa. There was about 300 people there. I will say that from what I was told ahead of time, the governor is not going to be focused on any new literacy policy in the 12 months that she has left moving forward. She's indicated that literacy is going to be a focus of her final year in office. But she has said that her staff have said that we have already done the work in passing literacy policy. We need to let it continue to work, and then in some instances take effect, and see where we go from here instead of continuing to add on and change policy. That is, when I was told that, I said, amen. That is exactly our line of thinking. We need consistency, not inconsistency, as it comes to policy. And then, as I mentioned in my budget update, they are primarily going to be focused on one-time funding in the budget to continue to plus up some areas that we know work, as well as kind of share and promote best practices throughout the state in terms of what specific districts or ISDs are doing surrounding literacy. I think without providing too much commentary on the literacy summit, I think it was a bit of a check the box thing from my perspective. I think there was some decent panels that were held at the summit, but this was really an opportunity for the governor to get up there in front of the media and say that we held a summit on literacy. I think moving forward, the biggest thing I think that she's going to do, as I mentioned, will be in her executive budget recommendations, although she did indicate that she would have more to say about her literacy plans in her State of the State address. So we'll be getting more information as we get closer to the State of the State address, certainly from her team as they leak out kind of what they are interested in. There's a couple bill packages that I'm just going to mention, and maybe next month, depending on what we're looking at in terms of policy work, I can dive deeper into. Just want to share, there's a group out there called Say Yes to Recess. They had been wanting to advocate for a 1 hour of recess in K through 5, a mandate, 1 hour every day. There's a bill that's likely going to be introduced next year that would mandate 40 minutes of recess, in K through 5. I shared this with the superintendents last week, who shared a number of different concerns that I'm going to relay back to the bill sponsor as he is drafting it. I know I shared this earlier this morning. One of the comments that I got back is, we need flexibility, not mandates. And at what point do they want us to, with all of these mandates in place, when do they expect us to actually teach literacy and math in elementary school? So just flagging that for you guys, that it's there. The only other one that I'll highlight for you guys is just there's a bill package out there, House or Senate bills 470 to 471, which is statewide BTAM. So behavioral threat assessment management system, which would be a statewide system housed at the Michigan State Police. In addition to some Well, some organized kind of trainings that they would be developing. There would also be kind of an online statewide system that districts would, yes, have control over and can only see into their districts, but the state police would have access to everything, essentially, where you would seemingly provide information on student behavior in this online database. My guess is that it's going to crumble under the weight of that piece of as soon as parents start to hear that we're going to be collecting student information in a statewide database held by the Michigan State Police, that will probably that bill package probably won't go anywhere. And then finally, there is House Bills 5310 through 5312, which is a new statewide open enrollment system that would replace the school choice system currently in place. The short version of it is that essentially in June, each district throughout the state would have to report out its capacity to take on additional students, and then accept the enrollment of any student at any point in the year. So a number of different concerns surrounding this package of bills just got introduced, I think, a week or two ago. So we're continuing to work through that, but I just wanted to flag it for you guys, and maybe next month I will share a little bit more detailed information on it. So as Beth said, that's pretty much slide 500 there. I could go longer if you guys wanted to, but I won't. As I mentioned, as we're walking through the slides here, all of the current information and links are included in the deck. But I'm happy to go on mute and see if anybody has any questions.
I am not seeing anything in the chat right now.
All right, appreciate it. Hope everyone has a great break.
Okay. We will transition over to state assessment, and I have one for accountability updates. So we'll start out with some general state assessment updates for an umbrella over all the assessments. Your pre-ID will open January 5th. That will be an OEAA, and that is for all of your general assessments. Your students are being pulled in from MSDS from your December count. So you want to make sure that that is as clean as possible. As students are enrolling and dropping, you are continuing to clean up the pre-ID up until the testing window. There is a video there that they released from MDE on instructions for pre-ID that you can watch as a resource. Also, all testing staff, no matter what assessment, they are required to do security training. So district and building test coordinators, they do have to read through the integrity guide and complete the Michigan virtual modules. Test administrators and proctors, they have the option to read through their specific pages in the integrity guide or complete the modules. And then technology coordinators read Appendix E in the integrity guide, and those are linked over to the right. And then there are some resources up at the top for the new guide and important dates. Next slide, please. Thank you. Specific to MSTEP and My Access, they've made some changes to text-to-speech. So your stacked Spanish, which shows English on one side, Spanish on the other, that is available for math and social studies. It will now be text-to-speech, and it will offer the follow-along instead of those audio recordings. So it will be embedded into the platform. Headphones will be required. Off-site test administration request window for MSTEP and My Access. That opens in OEAA on January 5th, along with pre-ID. The definition for off-site, because it's different for SAT and PSAT, the definition for off-site for MSTEP, My Access, and WIN is if it's outside of your district. So if you're testing within your district at a different location, as long as it's in your district, again, that's for MSTEP, My Access, and WIN. If you're at a library or civic center or something like that, then you have to do off-site. If it's in the district, it does not require off-site. Again, there's some resources. They held the DRC Technology Readiness webinar, so those are linked there. And they had the MSTEP Grade 8 and 11 webinar that is also linked there. Next slide, please. Thank you. For PSAT and SAT, The College Board's optional interactive checklist was sent out to test coordinators. Again, that is an optional list. It is not required. It provides reminders for the required tasks, and test coordinators can delegate those tasks to other members on their team. The PSAT and SAT offsite test requests are also open. You have to submit a request. I have the link there. It is not done in OEAA. It is a separate link. I have it linked again there, and that closes on March 2nd. The definition for offsite for SAT and PSAT is that it is not at the address in the EEM. So whatever address is in the EEM is where you are testing for PSAT and SAT. If it's at a different location, then you have to do offsite request for that. They are building in a Proctor preview in Test Day Toolkit, so they'll be able to practice the scripts and see how that Test Day Toolkit, the monitoring piece, works prior to testing. They are also adding in a scientific calculator into the Blue Book app for students for testing, so students will be able to toggle back and forth between the graphing calculator and the scientific calculator. Again, there's resources. The College Board monthly newsletters will start this month. So it's usually the Thursdays. It should be tomorrow. But those will be posted there, all your important dates. Blue Book installation with Chromebooks this year. You do have to enable verified mode. That is required for 2026. It's an extra layer of security for lockdown. It was optional in the past administrations. It is not optional this year. There are directions in that link under the resources for Blue Book installation with Chromebooks. So make sure that's reviewed by a technology coordinator. Again, there are trainings linked there that have been already hosted. And then there are 2 coming up in January, your SSD coordinators and the technical readiness. Those are both available. The registration links are there. Next slide, please.
Cindy, I just want to acknowledge that Kaylin Mulatin has been putting some information about WIDA access in the chat as well for people if they need it.
Thank you so much for adding that. For your WIN work readiness assessment, there is a technology system check. So I have it linked there. You are to complete these technology verification steps. Once those steps are complete, you will complete a technology verification survey. That survey opens up on 1/5. It's linked at the bottom of the verification steps. So it opens up on January 5th, and it closes March 2nd. I have some resources there to help you through those technology verification steps, the coordinator checklist, the technology requirements. On the student technology side, there is no student digital readiness check like there is with SAT and PSAT. That is not required. There are tutorials that will be available, but they are not available until the testing window opens. So you can complete them in advance of test day during the window if you assign testing later in the window and do tutorials in the beginning. That has to be done before assigning students to a test grid. Or you can complete the tutorials with the testing, but you'll have to add 15 minutes on to your test day for that section. And then tickets are required to access the tutorials. There are resources there. I have started to compile all of the updates and information from the different PowerPoints that have been released from MDE, and I've put them into one PowerPoint. So it's the Wayne Risa Win updates into one PowerPoint if you want. All the information that's coming out, it's there under resources. And then some trainings. They had the accommodations webinar and an overall training schedule with all of the release trainings. And then they have 2 coming up in January for test coordinator for paper and then test coordinator for online testing. The registration links are there. Next slide, please. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry. Okay. This is a reminder because the deadline is the 19th for your fall mode of instruction and data submission to the My Data Hub. This data is critical if you are planning on getting reimbursement. If you do not have this data submitted by the 19th, then you will not have the reimbursement. You have to take some action steps. Make sure you log into the cockpit, select features, then select benchmark assessment legislation report. You're going to review your data. You want to make sure that you are seeing all of the green check marks and you do not see any red X's on the report. You want to see at least one approved assessment and that you confirm the mode of instruction in all of the fields for your student counts. So if you see any errors listed with any red X's, please make sure you put in a ticket to the service desk before that 19th. You can also have them help you with the mode of instruction to mark all of them as fully in person. Again, that deadline is the 19th, so you don't want to miss out on that reimbursement. The Nexus application for funding will not open until early 2026. Thank you. Next slide. Thank you. And then annual education report for 25-26, that will be opening soon. I anticipate the exact dates to be released tomorrow in the spotlight. But for now, we know that it's usually released sometime mid-late December. And then you can finally post in mid-January. And then the final deadline is usually mid-February. Again, those dates I am anticipating to be released tomorrow in the spotlight. But they did release the cover letters on the MDE website, so you can start working on that information ahead of time. I have them put into a Google folder and linked here for you. The annual education reports, again, will open on My School Data Portal. They will be under the accountability tab. 25-26 AERs are based on 24-25 data. Districts and schools, they must update the cover letters and post them along with the link or PDF of the combined report that will be released on My School Data Portal onto the district website and on each individual school website. So those reports and cover letters are available with a login until public view. However, they released the cover letters, so I posted them and I got permission. So they are there for you to work early. Next slide, please. Just a reminder, my student voice survey. This is a statewide consortium around your SEL, belonging, and engagement. It is for grades 5 through 12. It is a quick 5 to 10 minute online perception survey. And last year they added the survey for educators and parents and guardians. It is fully translated into multiple languages. You get building and district level reports, and you also will receive Wayne RESA support available after the survey administration to help you aggregate and look at the data and analyze the data. So there are four survey windows that you can see there. And then after they do a final presentation with all of the statewide data. It is open now to sign up. So the link is there for the 2026 sign up. And I have one more slide, I think. Just a reminder, there's an Atlas Curriculum Collaboration Day. So if you are part of the Atlas cohort, they are hosting a free event at the Wayne County Community College at the Ted Scott campus. It is March 25th, 8 to 4. There's no cost, and you can register there. You can register yourself or a team. And that's all I have. Thank you so much. Any questions?
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here with you. I'm Carrie Fromm. I'm one of the literacy consultants. We can go to the next slide, please. We wanted to make you aware that right now we are going to be offering a book study around the book Conquering Dyslexia. It is a very accessible and easy read, and we're going to offer it for 3 different groups starting in February. There's a teachers group, a curriculum leaders group, and a building leaders group. People are welcome to come to whichever one really fits their schedule. But we thought it would be nice for people to have positioned people to have conversations around what dyslexia is. This is just a start of learning that we'll be doing. And this is just so we can have a shared understanding of what dyslexia is, what it isn't, solid teaching practices, and this aligns with the work that the state is also doing. So there is a link in the chat that will take you to a s'more. It's also linked right in the presentation. And we hope that you will choose to join us or send some of your staff to also participate. It's all virtual. The teacher sessions are after school. The cost is $25, and that really just is paying for your book. Next slide, please. I'm not going to go through this because Mike already did. He talked a little bit about the dyslexia law update that came out in that memo. The memo is linked there for you, so we can go to the next page. We also heard Beth talk about the approved dyslexia screener and curriculums list that they're coming out, I believe she said January 2nd, so that's exciting. Next slide, please. So just really quickly, one of the terms that keeps coming up in the law and that you'll hear being talked about is this idea of structured literacy. And what do we mean when we're talking about structured literacy? Structured literacy is an evidence-based approach to teaching reading, and it's not a program. But it's based in the science of reading. And it has three really key components to it. It's explicit. So you're working in an I do, we do, you do model. It's systematic and cumulative, meaning it's continuing to grow on top of each other as it goes through, and it follows a tight sequence. And it's diagnostic. So we're constantly looking for what is it that the students need and how do we provide that to them. Next slide, please. With that being said, my MTSS is offering a 5-part series that some of our staff has already participated in, and it's excellent, around structured literacy. And it includes like who receives this type of instruction, what the instruction entails, how it's delivered, and why it's essential. It's virtual and it's free. It is 3:30 to 5:30 on the dates that are listed. I highly recommend that you at least sign up for it. If you're not able to attend, they send you the videos and the resources so that you can look at them at your own time. But they really have done a nice job with this series. Next slide, please. Also, we just wanted to remind you that there are lots of literacy places that you can go to learn more about different literacy topics. Linked on this page, we have you linked to the science of reading and what that is. We also have linked in the literacy essentials. And, you know, it's important that we think about all of these things when we talk about the science of reading. The science of reading is the literacy essentials. It is when we have curricular resource training. It is letters training. It is structured literacy. So we just want to make sure that you have all the resources you need to support the staff that you work with. Next slide, please. Just highlighting the essential practices, which are the science of reading. We still have grades 3, K through, and 4, 5. There are EduPath modules that are online that staff can take for the K3. And then we also wanted to highlight the school-wide organizational practices and screening tool that are also available for you and your staff to look at. And you can focus in on specific topics, literacy related, math related, but we want you to just have a reminder that those are there. Next, please. This is new this year for the Essentials K through 3. They have developed playbooks that are what the essentials look like in action. So we have listed the ones that are finished. Essentials 3, 4, and 5 are finished. And you are able to go into those, look at the playbook. So if we're talking about small group instruction, we look at what it is, what it isn't, what supports might be needed, what it could look like in the classroom, what we might be doing with students. So all of those are there and available. There's also slides that you could use with staff around what each of these essentials looks like. Next slide, please. Finally, in this section, letters training, we just want to remind you that any Michigan educator pre-K through 6 at a public school or charter is welcome to sign up at no cost. We want to highlight that currently registration is happening for cohort 13, and it runs through registration runs through April 12th, and the training doesn't start until May. And then there is a cohort 14 in the works, and you can see the registration dates there as well. Next slide, please. We also wanted to remind you, we have 2 virtual UFly sessions coming up after school in January. One is a step refresher. So if you have staff that were trained and they would like a little bit more information about each of the steps, that is one of the training. The second training is about progress monitoring and differentiation. And so we encourage you to sign up for those. There is a link in the slideshow that you can find to do that. Next slide, please. We're also offering a book study around Carl Anderson and Matt Glover's book called How to Become a Better Writing Teacher. The cost is $45. It's virtual, it's after school, and really you're just paying for the cost of the book. Each of these chapters talks about different writing elements and gives teachers ways to think about meeting the needs of all of their students inside the classroom. Next slide, please. We're also happy to let you know that we have Carl Anderson actually coming in, and he will be available for a presentation on April 8th, where he will go through a couple of his chapters and talking about it, so that we're leaning into essential practice 6 of our learning essentials. So we hope you'll join us. If you're going to sign up, we encourage you to do so soon so that you save a spot for yourself. Next slide, please. And finally, Wayne Risa has a literacy newsletter that gets published quarterly. With the link that you see on the screen, if you are not currently receiving it, you can sign up. We invite you also to share that with any of your leaders or teachers who might want the update. Inside the slide, you will also find the December newsletter that just recently went out. And so with that, I think I'm going to turn this over to one of my secondary colleagues, Laura Gabriel.
Thank you, Carrie. Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Gabriel. I'm a literacy consultant here at Wayne Risa. If you can go to the next slide. Yes, I want to be one of the first to announce a save the date with actually a link for registration. We are planning our disciplinary literacies in action day-long learning. We're focusing on really working on kind of bringing this to life. We've talked with many of you and teams from your districts and PSAs about disciplinary literacy, but this will be a way to really look at how to implement those practices using place, problem, and project-based learning. That was a tongue twister. Okay, and our date is May 28th, 2026. So towards the end of our school year, we are going to be at the Vista Tech Center at Schoolcraft College in Livonia. And it is $95 to register. But like I said, that registration is open already. And we can't wait to take this learning to the next level with all of you. Again, as all of our DL series have emphasized, bringing that team, so that makes the implementation process a systems approach. Okay, next slide, please. All right, and we have a series coming up this winter. It's our Nurturing Readers, Writers, and Leaders series. It begins in January. You've got a QR code for registration. Of course, it's rooted in the essential practices for disciplinary literacy in the secondary classroom. It's an ELA focus, and it's great for classroom teachers, coaches, and instructional leaders. Next slide, please. All right, and for our secondary coaching network, which is we've been together for 3 meetings now, we just wanted to provide you with an update through our secondary coaching network newsletter that we send out to our leaders after every meeting. It includes details about what we learned and some additional resources that might be useful, but I think this was one of our best sessions yet, as we met at the Detroit Institute of Arts, and we were guided by Tyler Taylor about visual thinking strategies, and we got to apply those in the galleries and then think about how those appear in the work that we do, just how simple questioning can really be effective in moving thinking or prompting thinking in kind of innovative ways. All right. Next slide. Okay, and then something we started to share with our secondary principals is just some articles that we've found as a secondary literacy team that might be interesting to you as you think about how some of the concepts that, for example, Carrie just talked about for early literacy can be viewed through that secondary lens. So we've got a Mark Sedenberg article on structured literacy and the science of reading, and again, through that secondary lens, why reading tests are out of step with reality, and just that push to really think about how our kids are reading today, in these various, linked and hyperlinked and truncated forms. And then we always encourage you to read one of the books that one of us has read. This month, it's The Seed Keeper by Diane Wilson. This was one of Jeff's picks, but just something to share with your secondary educators, and hope that they'll share it further with their ELA classrooms or just classrooms in general.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Jeff Moore. I'm one of the mathematics consultants. And if you could do the next slide, thank you. I want to begin by taking a moment to celebrate some positive momentum in mathematics across Wayne County. There was a recent EPIC analysis using NWEA, iReady assessment data, shows that Michigan students moved from the 43rd percentile nationally in the 23-24 school year to the 51st percentile in 24-25. So that's a shift that's representing some real steady improvement over time. For me, though, what's even more encouraging locally is that Wayne County is growing at a faster rate than the state in terms of M-STEP proficiency in mathematics. So looking at 3-year M-STEP trends, statewide proficiency in mathematics increased by about 2%, 2.6%, while Wayne County saw an increase in proficiency of about 4.4%. So again, I think this progress reflects the collective work happening across classrooms, buildings, and districts. I'd be remiss to not mention, as I'm thinking about this progress, just acknowledge the work of our COSA networks in Wayne County. There's a lot of strong coaching work that's already happening throughout the county supporting these efforts. So it's just a moment to say well done and to recognize the progress we're seeing. I think we forget to do that. So whatever you do before the end of the year, take some time to acknowledge things that you see that you've made steady gains with. So because they're there, sometimes we focus on some of the other things. Next slide, please. At the secondary level, one of our focus areas continues to be scaffolded algebra and intervention support in that area. And so one of the things that we've been working with our team is a program called Intensified Algebra. It's a research-based program and it's designed specifically to support students who are significantly behind in algebra and need targeted intentional instruction. The goal of intensified algebra, it's to make sure that they still have access to rigorous math instruction while they're still provided scaffolded students that are needed, scaffolded instruction that they need to engage with the content. We've been working more at the county level. We're really trying to think about how this type of support fits in with broader systems at the district level, and how we can support that work through future implementation cohorts. If you're interested in learning more or exploring whether this could be a fit for your district, my colleague Christy Hanby is an excellent point of contact, and her email is in that slide. Next slide, please. And one last thing, I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to share some of the work that we are doing with our secondary math leaders network. And so one of the things that we've been spending some time learning together is about systems that support professional learning. So this framework's kind of helped us organize our thinking. We've been reflecting on four categories that you see here: roles, routines, events, and tools. How the roles are defined, how professional learning and meetings are structured, the routines that support instructional practice, and the tools that the educators use to collaborate and reflect. Next slide, please. One theme that continues to surface in this work is the importance of time. Well, yeah, that's the right side right there. Is the importance of time, particularly protected and intentional time for professional learning. So it's not just time without some intentionality behind it. And it's treated sacredly. So really it's time to collaborate, time to reflect on instruction, time to engage meaningfully with data, to follow through on learning in ways that connect back to classroom practice. And so it was important for me to make sure that I share that information with you to not only advocate, but also help support the work that you guys are already doing in the district. So we're going to continue to do this work, pay attention to how systems and structures can best support work and professional learning to make it sustainable and actually effective. We're doing some of this work. We'll continue to kind of share this information with you as our learning continues in this area. That's all I have, and have a great break.
Hi, I'm Kaylin Willaten, and I'm one of the multilingual consultants at Wayne Risa. You can go ahead, Anna. Thank you. So, I'm here to talk to you again about Section 41. It seems to be the main thing I talk about year round. We're going to talk about three different things. We're going to talk about the funding itself and the deadline and Nexus. We're going to talk about programming and staffing and also program evaluation. And I want to make one thing clear, even as I start. Even if you choose not to accept Section 41 funding, that does not exempt you from any of the requirements towards your multilingual learners. So even though it says Section 41, because all of the Section 41 is the lovely number for multilingual education, and everything is trying to be housed here to kind of always know what we're talking about. It's just not like do this if you want the funding, don't do it if you don't. It's always you must do this, and here's some funding to help you with that. So again, the guidelines haven't changed. These were really established in legislation that took effect March 1st of 2025. And these are WIDA English language proficiency levels that you see on your left. And so if you are a very beginning or what we call an entering student, a newcomer student often, at levels 1.0 to 1.9, you should be receiving 60 minutes a day of English language development services in some format. If you are at any of the other levels, that's from 2.0 to 4.7, you should be receiving 30 minutes a day or the weekly equivalent of that. These are what Michigan has adopted And they are based on 20 years of settlements with districts around multilingual learners across the nation, but in Southeast Michigan as well. As part of this. And so, like, what was enforceable when OCR came in? What did they say? And this is the minimum here. And go to the next slide, please. So there are ways of thinking about how to carry this out. We have what we call designated English language development, and that's when you have a special class or maybe a pull-out group or maybe a push-in group in the class where you have the ELD teacher teaching the WIDA language standards, right? Newcomers or students at levels 1.0 through 1.9. By the way, if no one's told you, WIDA always never rounds up. It's always you stay within a level. You're a level 1 until you're a level 2 through 1.9, right? Because they do need explicit instruction that might not be available by integrating language and content. But we do want language and content integrated for our students. They're most successful that way. And especially as you get to higher levels in general, you want to see that much more than designated ELD, though there can be kind of purpose, talk about another time, groups with higher level students with higher English language proficiency for designated ELD. But really, you want to see that integrated. So what does that look like? So if you are doing designated ELD, you have a certified teacher who is endorsed with either a bilingual endorsement or an ESL endorsement in the state of Michigan. That is the NS or the Y, whatever, depending on which language the bilingual endorsement is in. And, they are running the class or running their groups or whatever around that. When you have integrated English language development, which can be very beautiful and very successful for the students, you either have a dually endorsed teacher. So I am endorsed as, an elementary education teacher and I have my ESL endorsement, or I am, a secondary ELA or secondary math or social studies or science teacher and I have my ESL or bilingual endorsement, right? So when we look at these minutes, it is a huge challenge, but it's also an opportunity to redesign programming and think about programming and evaluate programming and see what could work best in our context. I can tell you right now, and I can share some research from you if you're interested, that after a dual language program, which I know for many reasons aren't possible in most of our districts and PSAs, but after that, where students show most success is in a co-teaching model. So there is a lot of opportunity here, as well as, of course, we recognize very great challenges. Next slide, please. So how does this tie in now to all the things we're putting into Nexus and everything else? And before I forget, even though I've linked it on another slide, I'm going to drop the MDE Nexus instructions so you know what that looks like into the chat. So what's going on? So Section 41, and again, you will need to be able to have this on the side to show this, even if you're not accepting these funds. You just need to keep it safe in a district folder somewhere to be able to show MDE when asked. But what is happening right now is the Section 41 application is open. And as part of that application, you are going to submit a staffing plan. And all of this is due by January 15th, 2026. Okay, that's the hard deadline both for this funding application and to submit your staffing plan. Again, if you are not, for whatever reason, and I highly recommend you take the funds, they went up about 25% this year. But if you're not taking them, you still just need to have this somewhere safe to be able to show, right? So this is considered year one. And how do you plan to meet these English language development service minutes, with your staffing? So you would say what your current staffing is and what it might look like. The actual plan that you're submitting to them is going to be very brief and bullet pointy, and it might change, as you start thinking about this and talking about this within your context. And we here at RISA, myself and my other colleagues who are multilingual consultants are very willing to be thought partners with you around all of this and what this might look like in your context. But you just kind of build out right now what you think would happen each year. Next year, you might submit a staffing plan like, look, we revised this and now we've been able to build capacity doing this way. And, you might have some changes, and that's okay too. All right. The other thing is, I forgot to mention on the other slide, though it's on the slide, is that if you have someone who is studying to get their ESL endorsement, as we know there's a shortage of teachers out there, you might be able to hire someone new, but you might want to be building capacity in your own district. They can be on a basic permit for up to 4 years. And so they could be, your ELD teacher right now. And, either maybe teaching kind of a shelter class or co-teaching with someone, or there's a lot of different possibilities around that. You may use Section 41 funds for tuition reimbursement. That is a perfectly allowable expense. So again, all of these things you can reach out and talk to us. But we really love around these things. Collaboration is going to become my middle name at some point, by how much I keep talking about it and pushing it. So want to get this out to all of you curriculum leaders. I'll be talking to the principals about it. We've been talking for months with ELD and, directors and other people about these things as well. But we want this definitely on your radar. Okay. Next slide, please. So what I dropped in the chat is even better instructions than there was a lovely district who sent me this screenshot because I don't have access in Nexus anymore. So this is what it's going to look like as part of the submission. There's more pages, and MDE has done a very nice job in that document of, again, step-by-step instructions, but this is where it's going to go. So you're going to get to this little page here, and it's going to say, do you have enough minutes? And honestly, almost everyone, there's no shame here. Almost everyone is going to have to say no. I don't know. It's just the way things are, even if you're coming close, right? And then you're going to talk about, how you're going to build staff capacity. And that can be building capacity within the staff you already have, as well as possibly hiring from the outside. Next slide, please. Thank you. So how does this tie into program evaluation? It's kind of intimately or really dovetails well, I should say, with that, right? So going on, and again, where this gets submitted at the moment is it through Section 41. But if you don't, again, keep it in a nice separate folder and a safe place to be able to be shared. So last fall, Michigan Department of Education rolled out training. So there's webinars and resources. They have both happened. But one of the webinars, the recording has not been uploaded yet. It just happened like last week. But the other one is already in that folder that's linked here. So you're welcome to watch that on your own time and look at the slide decks and look at the resources and the FAQ. You can reach out to us. You can reach out to NDE. It's Title III Monitoring Indicator 18, which we are lovingly calling Comprehensive High School because it's so dense and has so much stuff in it. And basically, it's about everything. It's about pathway to graduation for your multilingual learners. It's about access to everything, whether it be dual enrollment and CTE courses and AP courses and athletics and all sorts of stuff. So it's choosing a goal in there or a couple of goals in there and continuing to work on that. So there's a lot of good resources around that, and we can support you with that. Now, that is the indicator to evaluate yourself on and talk about this year. That report does not get submitted until next October. So around October 15th of next year, when you submit the Section 41 fiscal report for this year, that's where you're going to be attaching that evaluation narrative. Okay. But that means that this year, you should be determining and looking at things. Look at your master schedule through a multilingual lens. That's a challenge and also an opportunity for us to do. So all of that, and I'm happy to meet with you and talk more about this, but that is the big evaluation thing. Now, how does that tie into what we were just talking about? This, of course, might include staffing because as you're looking in, this part of it is also obviously the English language development minutes and how you might be running that at your high school. And yeah, so that it might just run side by side in some cases, parallel with staffing, but it might be very integrated as well. Now, what if you are a K-8 district or LEA or PSA? Don't worry, MDE will still like you to evaluate yourselves, and then you will be talking about the effectiveness of your staffing and instruction for your English language development service programming and service minutes. And we can talk to you more about that as well. But anyone who has a high school in your district, that is the indicator that is being evaluated for this year. On this slide is link things to past years as well. And again, I'm happy to walk anyone through any of that. Next slide, please.
Kaylin, we do have a
That's it.
question in the
Oh,
chat.
sorry. Thank you.
Yep, the question was just relating to whether or not this information has been shared with HR individuals or maybe district leadership other than curriculum directors.
Well, we've been putting it out pretty much monthly in our superintendent updates, as far as that goes. I don't know about HR explicitly. I mean, and I'm not the only one putting this out, right? I'm talking about where that's coming from Wayne Resop, but MDE, yeah, has been sending this out. This is nothing new. And last year we were sending stuff out because, as I say, that legislation took effect March 1st. So yeah, whether or not, who knows it in your district, I can't vouch. So sorry, but yes, this has
No,
been around.
I
The
did
new
just
thing,
share
I'm
that
sorry,
update.
yeah, the new thing is really that indicator 18. We knew it was on board for this year, and then they were also talking about having additional things on board, and we were able to scrap that. So that's good news because indicator 18 is a huge enough indicator to allow for plenty of work without adding more work on it. EL staffing and programming, though there will be some training this spring. I'm going to take a wild guess right now. I don't have this from MDE like in print, but that's going to be the evaluation, how you're going to evaluate yourself next year as well. I see Katura has a hand up. Can you unmute?
Hi, thank you, Kaylin. I appreciate you taking my question. I'm just curious, there was some discussion, there has been some discussion about lowering the 4.8 as it relates to the level of proficiency, or that had been kind of on the wire. I just wondered that because we have some students that are still like they're taking AP
Yeah,
classes, they're honor students in high school, and they're long-term ELs, and they can't seem to test out of it even
they can't
despite
seem
the
to
fact.
pass. So
I'm
two
sorry?
things around that. First, just what you're talking about, the actual composite score for exit and some other things. Yeah, there's a lot of people who aren't happy with the composite score for exit. There is talk about that. There is kind of research being done, and I know that MDE is maybe they've even started, I'm not sure, but is planning on focus groups. But I can tell you that's not going to affect 2026. What they're hoping is to possibly have something for 2027. But 2026 is still going to be a composite exit of 4.8. Now, as to the problem of, yeah, you're not unique. There are sometimes students who are doing really, really well and they're just not testing out. So I guess I lied. I'm going to talk about that designated ELD, higher English language proficiency. So sometimes, like what I would find sometimes is that it was the writing that was keeping them back, and sometimes it's powerful to have, maybe meetings a couple times a week, anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks before read access opens to really focus on that piece and what they're expected to do on the exam. High school, though, sometimes it's a motivation factor because it's like, why is this important in my life? I'm doing well in my, AP classes. I'm just going to click through this. This is not, for whatever reason, I'm being frustrated by it. For motivational factors, I do know some districts who are doing even things like giving another chord at graduation if you have exited. I don't know that that's a super motivational factor, but sometimes kids like to have as many as possible and collect. But we can talk about those are just two ideas off the top of my head. But
And
yeah,
as you shared, I'm not unique in this, and I know that many of the districts downriver that are experiencing this have many of the parents who are also telling their children or are sending us letters regularly that they don't want their kids to be pooled or they don't want them to be tested. And so we're experiencing that because they are so successful in high school. The parents don't value it
right,
either. So,
right, right.
but thank you
So
for
if a
those
child is
suggestions.
Yeah, if a child does not want to be tested in WIDA access, if the parents really insist, then it goes to whatever district protocol you have for refusing district benchmark testing, for refusing MSTEP, for refusing, because it does count against you. Obviously, it is state mandated. Um, so yeah, I think the other thing though too, I don't think kids should be being pulled, generally speaking, even if they're not and I think that's also where that integrated ELD model comes in,
Well, they
because
mean
then
pooled for testing.
Oh, pull for
Yeah.
testing. No, yeah, I
Yeah, I'm
know.
totally on board with the ELD and what you're saying. I'm
Right,
not
right, right,
opposing
right,
that.
right.
I'm
Sorry,
just
I
trying to
thought
be
you meant
realistic
pulled from
about some of the
class
challenges that
for
we
that.
face and
Yeah,
some advocacy at the state level. So thank you for your
absolutely,
time.
absolutely. So no, I mean that it has been recognized as an issue, and they've been collecting data from different states and what they do and why and what their data says and what Michigan's data says. But I can tell you again, they really hope to do something, but it'll be 2027. So thank you all and have a wonderful break.
Hi, everybody. It's me again, Laura Gabrion. When I am not working as a literacy consultant, I am blessed to be a kind of fringe part of the instructional technology team. I want to make sure that you know about our 7th annual Wayne Risa Maker STEM Summit. We're really excited to have Tony Vincent as a keynote speaker. His amazing site is full of all kinds of things teachers can use, but one that I've used regularly in planning are all the brain breaks that came in really handy when I was planning for Lit Lab. We are blessed also to have 2 of our districts as presenters. One of them talking about their maker journey, which is really exciting because they're going to also bring some of their students to our summit this year. So we're just really excited. It's a great day of learning, lots of opportunities to get some great swag. So please share this with your teachers and encourage them to attend. And I will say on our next slide that we are going into our 3rd year with our PL in a box. It will start January 20th this year. The fun part about PL in a box is it actually is in a box. You get 2 boxes delivered to your door. So the teachers that sign up for this for a very, low fee here of $25 will get all kinds of goodies, hummingbird kits, microbits, crafting materials, fidgets and brain breaks for adults, and we guide them through this learning. We move, this is an integration of computational thinking, literacy, some light coding, some book creator activities, and we move through this together, really focusing in on essential practice number 2 for the literacy essentials. And it's just a really great opportunity to think about how computational thinking really blankets everything really that we do. We use from some very specific problem solving skills no matter where we are. So again, we encourage you to share this with your teachers. It's a really great 8-week asynchronous set of activities. And that's it for me. I think somebody though wants to see the STEM event QR code. I just don't have the link handy. Oh, I do actually. Give me a second and I'll get that out to you.
We can drop that into the chat as well.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Kate Pearson. I'm a special education consultant here at Wayne Risa. I focus on essential elements. Next slide, please. So we're really excited to finally have published and released the Early Childhood Special Education Guidance and Best Practices. So it just came out within the last week or so on our website, but it's really a publication focused on best practices in self-contained ECP and ECSE classrooms. So we developed this guidance and support with ECP classroom teachers from across the county. We went to every region of Wayne County. We worked with also our ASD coaches from across the county to collect this information and put out the best practices for teams. So we're really excited just to continue to strive for excellence in all of our early childhood programming, but especially the programming that affects our students with complex needs. Next slide, please. And you can find this guidance document. It's going to be on our Wayne Risa website, right under the special education tab. It's on the main page. So it's going to be, I took a screenshot here. It's going to be housed under, we have the MARS rules. We have the plan for delivery of special ed. We have our section 504 toolkit, and then right underneath is where you can also find a copy of the early childhood special education guidance and best practices document. But again, if you have any questions as you're looking through it, any with regarding any of the information, please reach out to Dr. Kelly Anderson in my department, Lisa Peruggi, or myself, and we'd be happy to help you. But we're just excited to get this information out to support your ECP teams. Next slide, please. We're really excited. We've had Teach Town and within our Act 8 non-diploma Act 18 programs for about 12 weeks. So we were able to pull some academic growth data because we're really trying to move the needle forward within our Act 18 classrooms, especially with our Encore K-12 curriculum that encompasses ELA, math, science, and social studies, along with life skills and support skills for our most needy students. But what's really awesome is that just within the first 12 weeks, we're seeing an average improvement of around 69% between the students pre-test and post-test between those 12 weeks of September 2025 and November 2025 while using that K-12 curriculum. So our goal moving forward is to figure out how can we replicate this type of growth daily and see that throughout all of our classrooms in Wayne County. So again, our guiding principles are really focused on the data collection that the teachers are collecting via the teacher-led and student-led lessons, and also the classroom walkthroughs and observations that administrators and support staff are doing. Next slide, please. And then this image kind of breaks down our Teach Town data for the first 12 weeks between Encore Elementary, Middle School, and High School. And this is across all 19 districts. So no one's singled out here, but it really talks about within those three domains of like the number of lessons that have been mastered, the number of students that have actively been logged on to the Teach Town platform, the number of learning objectives accomplished, and then the average learning objectives achieved or mastered per student. So this was really great data that we wanted to highlight here as well. Again, these classrooms have only had this curriculum for 12 weeks, so we're really excited to see what it's going to look like in another 3 months or 6 months or by June 2026. So we just wanted to highlight this data here. Next slide, please. Within our CS department, we're really excited. Our team has really grown. We have a lot of new faces. So I've just made a couple of slides in case anyone from your teams and from your central offices have questions of like who to contact, who should I go to. We're a very large department. We have a lot of new faces. So I wanted to kind of provide an overview of our roles, what we do, and how you can contact us. So we have our amazing leadership team here. We have Dr. Jen Taterial as our assistant super, and then we have Beth Santer as our executive director and Adrian Kubicki as our director of our department. So they're fabulous to work with. They're very responsive, and we're really lucky to have them as our leaders of our CS department. Next slide, please. These are our region coordinators. So if you or any of your teams attend the region meetings, these are the people that you can contact for each different region. We have a Downriver Dearborn region, an Eastern region, and a Western region. So those are the contacts there for you. Next slide, please. We have a lovely assistive technology team of 4 consultants. I wanted to put kind of their main WAT support email and their WAT hotline, but Laura, Pam, Amber, and Barry come with like a plethora of experience. 2 of them were educators, 2 of them were SLPs in their previous work. They're absolutely fantastic. If you need help with your students supporting curriculum with assistive technology, communication, anything related in that kind of spectrum, please reach out to them. They're a fabulous team to work with, also very responsive, and we're really lucky to have 4 consultants working on assistive technology to support our students with the most complex communication needs. Right. Next slide. Thank you. Our Act 18 team has really grown, so I kind of wanted to break down the different roles and what our consultants do. So we have DeJuan, Katie, Kim, and another Katie, who kind of are our behavior support team. DeJuan and Katie really focus on a lot of PBIS work, while Kim and Katie focus on a lot of ASD work, and especially supporting our ASD coaches throughout the county. So if your team is looking specifically for any information regarding behavior, these would be the 4 lovely ladies to reach out to. We also have a small early childhood department. We have Dr. Kelly Anderson and Lisa. They're also amazing. So if you have any questions on kind of birth to age 5, those would be your two contacts. And then we have a couple of just kind of singletons, but also just as fabulous and amazing. We have Celeste Johnson. She does a lot of work with our DHH and VI population and work surrounding dyslexia. I'm Kate, so I do a lot of work regarding essential elements curriculum and then kind of spearheading Teach Town. And then we have a new juvenile kind of adult division and a new consultant, Sarah Pope, that works with our adjudicated youth within our jails. So we're really happy to have kind of our full team again. Next slide, please. And then we have a plethora of GSA consultants, our general supervision and accountability team. So we have Wanda, Melissa, Angie, Megan, Teresa, Ashley, Dr. Nelson, and Dr. Tori. They're fabulous at what they do. They do so much work around the county. You probably know some of their names because they've been out doing PD and support within your districts. But basically, what they do is a lot of general supervision and accountability work. They focus on Part B monitoring. They do a lot of state complaint investigations. They work with districts and student level corrective action plans and support. They give a lot of training across the county in relation to different special ed topics. They also do a lot of work around discipline procedures and forms. And then a couple of our consultants really focus on CPI training and personal curriculums. So this team is rock solid. They're a great support. So if you have any questions related to kind of like that general supervision and accountability, these would be your people to reach out to. And next slide. And my last slide is I really just want to highlight it, kind of the people that do all the behind the scenes work. They're the backbone of our department. We have our 4 AIOs and we have a ton of administrative assistants that really do the behind the scenes work of all of our jobs. So we now have a full team of AIOs, Marilyn, Corey, Suhair, and John. They do a lot of work regarding PBIS, assistive technology, and Act 18. And then we have Sonia, Dawn, Courtney, Krista, Bridget, and Latricia, and they really support contracts and early on support. They help us work with PD scheduling. They take all of district phone calls and emails that come through and try to connect you to the right consultant. So we're just really lucky to have them, and our team kind of now finally officially feels full, and we're just really excited to kind of have this team to support the district. So again, if you need anything in relation to specific topics, again, you can always reach out to me and I can get you to the right person, but hopefully these slides will help you get connected if you're looking for specific topics or need specific support.
Kate,
Okay.
we do have one question before you move on about the Teach Town.
Sure.
I'll read it as it is. What is Teach Town data review curriculum?
And you know what, Kate, I wonder if you might have some links that you could put in the chat that could give more information about Teach Town curriculum.
Yeah, sure. I
I
can
know
pull them
you've
right
shared
now.
it in previous meetings, but maybe not
Yeah.
everybody had attended that meeting.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
yeah, that would
Yeah.
be great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so the final 3 slides I have for you from Safe and Healthy Schools. I'm Terry Sherwinski. On this slide here, we're highlighting the fact that we are offering a MyBTAM, so behavior threat assessment management training of trainers. Districts across the county are in the process of either selecting CSTAG or MyBTAM to meet their school threat assessment requirements. If you have staff, if MyBTAM is the model that you selected and you have staff that you would like to be trained as trainers to beef up the training abilities within your district, they first have to be trained in basic BTAM. We're offering that in January and February, and the registration links are there. And then they have to attend the advanced BTAM June 23rd, and then the BTAM TOT on June 24th and June 25th. We do have grant funding that's covering the cost of the trainings with the exception of food. So you'll notice that the registration fees are very low for each of these. On the next slide, I want to share that MDE has posted the final version of the Michigan Health Education Standards Guidelines. We have some updated general overview and sex education update one-page resource sheets for you linked to the slide here. And just a reminder again that there have been no changes around HIV or sex ed. Parent opt-out is still required for both of those topics. If you haven't looked at the standards yet, the guidelines yet, I think that you will probably be pleased with them. You may remember from the last time I talked about this that they hadn't been updated since 2007. So much needed and well-crafted update you'll find there. And on my last slide, just a quick update on trails. So I've linked the final in-person trainings that trails will be providing at no cost to our districts this spring. For the final semester or the final 6 months of 31P funding, Trails will only be offering on-demand module style asynchronous training. So if you are interested in having the current curriculum, experiencing any of the 3 levels or all of the 3 levels, I would really encourage you to have someone on your staff enroll in the trainings that are offered in the spring and then download the materials, because my understanding is that those materials will not be available after May of this of 2026. So just another heads up, if you're interested in that, go ahead and get your staff registered at no cost. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. So that brings us to the end of our updates. I thought we might have light updates being it was December, but I feel like we had a lot. Please remember that the curriculum update report has a lot of this in it in detail. You have access to the slides and all the links. And if you want more information, you can always go to our update report, and feel free to share that with your leadership teams and anybody else in your department who will need the information. As always, we're always happy for you to reach out to us. We try to put names on slides and contact information in case there's any way that you want to follow up. Thank you for your time and your attention. We appreciate your partnership, and we wish you a very happy holiday season.